positive thinking and affirmations and all that stuff. It wasn't a trend back then, but because my internal world was changing, the way I felt and thought changed. And then that affected how I showed up in life. And people I didn't even know were just commenting, wow, like you're glowing, you know, so alive, so vibrant, like so happy, like just emanating good energy. And then I like actually started attracting in the things that I wanted.
All right, Teddi Emerald.
Yay!
Oh my God, this is so amazing. Oh, I'm so giddy to be like, have this conversation with you and do this podcast. Please just like introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. I'm ready.
All of the things, all of the things. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is really, really great. So my name's Teddi Emerald. I'm a women's empowerment healer, and I support a lot of free-spirited, rebellious women that are experiencing a bit of self-doubt or the comparison thing and feeling held back and weighed down and really wanting to step into that next level of their life. And I help them to feel really confident in themselves, really empowered in who they are, and feel good in their bodies so that they can take action on their dreams and make whatever that they want to have happen, make it happen in their life. And I do that through, a range of different programs. So I've got Confidence of a Queen, which is really powerful, Body Bang Bang, a women's empowerment. And then I also work one-on-one with people as well and take them through a process called the spiral.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, because obviously I did the spiral with you and that was crazy. I definitely would not be here if I did not go through that process.
What opened up for you when you did the spiral, Franeiss?
Wow, everything. Just became a whole new person. It's fine.
Yeah, so amazing. Like fully blossomed out of the cocoon into this gorgeous fairy butterfly woman.
Absolutely. And so with the spiral, give us your interpretation of it, because everyone has their own version of explaining it.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I think with these kind of things, because often a lot of people will be like, what is it? And they're wanting to understand like the modality or the technical things, like what are we doing? And I understand that as well, because sometimes I'll ask people as well, like, oh, what do you do? But really what I think the important question is like, what results do you help people get? Because what I found is that's what generally people are actually interested in. They want to know like, hey, like, where can you help me get? Like, what can you help me be? Like, what can you help me achieve? And that kind of thing. So more than the technical how-to kind of stuff, which as soon as we start talking like that language as practitioners, I think it just goes over people's head. And I've actually just tried to rule it out now. Like, I don't even bother saying a lot of stuff because people just get so confused. You know, unless you've been learning this stuff, it's like, whoa, meridians and, you know, like all those weird words. And it's just like, whatever. But what I would say the spiral is a super potent, powerful, transformational method that helps people activate their true potential. It clears out so much shit, like all the deep stuff and the stuff that they don't even know that's been holding them back. That's what they let go of. And then they just step into this next level version of themselves and feel light and free and empowered and energized. Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. How do you explain it?
I explain it as this crazy thing where you go through 7 levels and you're just uncovering and releasing all the baggage that you've been holding on to that you don't even know you've been holding on to. And then, you can just be freed up to just be your actual authentic self.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so how did you get into being a master of confidence? Like, what brought you to that point where you're just like, I'm mastering this fucking thing?
Yeah. So, what got me to where I am is from my rabbit hole researching, the understanding that we're in a world of duality and polarity. And so I'm teaching confidence, right? the only way that I could have even understood the way to get to confidence is being the extreme opposite. So I definitely didn't have any self-worth. I didn't have confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't have boundaries. I wasn't truly expressing my thoughts and feelings. Like, yeah, I was always a weirdo, always an outsider, didn't fit in. And that is such a fucking blessing in this world, because it kind of is a bit of warrior training straight up, like not needing to be validated by other people and feeling weird and excluded, and dealing with the uncomfortability of that through, primary school and high school and that kind of thing. I think that's a really, really valuable thing, because it teaches you to walk your own path, as much as that can feel really uncomfortable and hurtful. And yeah, as a teenager, it's definitely not nice. And yeah, that created a lot of stuff for me, like a lot of insecurities, and I became quite a chameleon, really good at fitting in with other people and listening to a lot of people, because that would mean that I would get friendship, like if I'm supporting other people and listening to their problems and making them feel good and not worrying about myself or prioritizing myself, then I had friends and I could fit in with people. So it worked up until it didn't work. I don't think anyone back in the day would have said, oh, Teddi doesn't have confidence or anything like that, because I was a really happy, bubbly person. Like I was always focused on like positive stuff. But it was because I was never looking at myself and my own chaotic past. I was just like, no, I don't want to think about that. Like I do want to just like focus on what's good. And that's why people enjoyed being around me. However, I can see in hindsight that I really did lack the confidence, because I never went after what I wanted. I never pursued things, like I never pursued the jobs that I wanted, because I didn't believe that I'd get them. I would always hold back around people. Like I would never go and approach different people because I was afraid of being rejected. There were so many things. I didn't even pursue so many creative things. Like I would just sit around dreaming about them, but never would take action on them because of just not believing in myself. So yeah, I had a lot of that going on, and went through a really twin flame relationship that was equally amazing as it was disastrous for me. And that really broke down a lot of like my sense of identity and who I was. And so really reached like an all-time low with that, which is really great. Wasn't pleasant at the time, but actually the perfect space for transformation, because then I was really ready to look at myself and what wasn't working. And the thing was, it had never been working, but I had a lot of things to distract myself and to get myself by. And it was fine, like, just hanging out in groups of friends, like whatever. But when I got to this point where I was like, oh, fuck, like I'm really not feeling good and things aren't working, it was kind of like crunch time. And I was like really open for anything. And I remember chatting to someone who was an EFT or a tapping practitioner, and I just mentioned that I wanted to do some of the creative things, do like art installations and like some stuff like that. And he was like, oh, why don't you do it? And I'm like, oh, I'm too scared to ask for work experience with some creative agencies in Melbourne. And he was like, oh, maybe you should do tapping to just work on that, to have a bit more confidence in yourself and to go after that stuff. And I was really open-minded to alternative things. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? Like, what have I got to lose? And so I like rocked up for my first session, and I was like, oh yeah, like I was like, this is cool. I didn't think heaps of it. And he then suggested like, hey, like, why don't you do like a little healing program around this? And did it. And each week, like removing layers of stuff that was holding me back. And then after 3 months, I saw my whole life do like this 360 and just completely change, like completely. And what I find really powerful is it wasn't positive thinking and affirmations and all that stuff. It wasn't a trend back then. Like I didn't know about it. He wasn't telling me to do it. It was just I'd rock up for my session and then go and live my life. But because my internal world was changing and I was letting go of stuff, the way I felt and thought changed. And then that affected how I showed up in life. And people were noticing it. Like people I didn't even know were just commenting, wow, like you're glowing, you're so alive, so vibrant, like so happy, like just emanating good energy. And then I like actually started attracting in the things that I wanted. And attracted a job with a really colorful creative brand in Byron and set up their festival shop, and like exactly what I would say manifesting now. But back then I was just like, oh, I just want to work for a really colorful creative company. And then I got it and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then after 6 months, then went on to take on my own business, Trash Vintage. And I remember thinking, like, when I was in the shop, I was like, oh my God, like 6 months ago, I was not in this position to do this. I was too scared to tell a guy what to do when I was managing a Quicksilver down on Burke Street in Melbourne. And I was like, I felt really awkward to tell the guys in my team what to do, because I was like, oh, I don't want to be bossy. And like, I was too scared to ask for, like, I was always like, I want to be a visual merchandiser. And I was too scared to ask for that job role in the company, and just like, you know, like just holding back from what I truly wanted and whatever. And when I was in my business, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, how did I go from being like, just so caught up on stuff that didn't matter and like blah, 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 low self-worth, to then like all of a sudden doing all this creative stuff, feeling amazing. And I was like really caught up on this guy that like it wasn't good for me and it was over and blah, blah, blah. And then when I'm living in Byron, like I just attracted in like the most amazing man ever, and like went on to have like the most insane, incredible relationship of my life. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And that's what happens when healing happens, shifts and transmutes stuff. And that's when I knew, I was like, whoa, like this stuff works. And then I started studying it and becoming qualified and a practitioner of that modality and a bazillion other ones. And so that's really been my journey of confidence. Is I really came from a place of, I wouldn't have even said I wasn't confident. I just never thought about myself. And I could see that nothing was happening in my life and nothing was changing. Like I would try to do things, but nothing was changing in it. And then as soon as I did the healing work, it changed. And now that's my goal, is to support other women like myself, you know, like that are free-spirited, that are alternative, that have got that rebellious energy, that creative drive, that they know that there's something inside of them that wants to be expressed. And I support them in like going through the things and releasing the things in order to go and do that and to shine as the amazing creatures that they are, and to just bring whatever energy is in them out into the world, like no matter what that looks like, and to birth the dreams that are in their mind. And it's just such a fun process, you know, it can be so much easier and lighter. Like that's the thing. I feel like so many people think, oh, healing's like really heavy and like you got to bring up all your shit and talk about it. But that's not the way that I work. And I know that you know that. It's like actually so light and easy and quick and fun.
Absolutely. And it's so fascinating to find out how much stuff goes like incognito that we don't even realize. Like you said, you lacked confidence, but you didn't label it as lacking confidence. You just didn't look after yourself first before everyone else. And yeah, so fascinating, especially as women. I feel like it tends to be that way of like, you're a bit too bossy if you're telling someone what to do. You're on your period because you're getting angry. All this stuff that is like, I'm allowed to just be angry if I'm angry.
Totally, yeah.
So I find it so fascinating that you can just like pull all of this stuff up and out and, you know, become this shiny new being.
Yeah, totally.
And you also do juice cleansing and detoxing, don't you? To really get in there and to support the system with all the healing. Do you want to explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm really into holistically healing and love learning about I would say the biohacks, or the hacks on how to get to certain levels the quickest, most efficient, fastest way. And fasting is the fastest way to heal and detox our body. So I learnt through my mentor, Tyler Tolman, and his dad really, really brought it to the scene. Like, oh my gosh, would it have been the 80s or 90s? Don Tolman, fascinating family, like so tapped in. I really love Don because he's really into the ancient knowledge, and I really love that kind of stuff. So Don is like really looking into ancient Egyptians and ancient Assyrians and seeing that all of the ancient cultures actually associate spirituality and attaining a new level of consciousness with fasting. There's like lots of scripts around that, or like stories around that. So he got into it and actually started helping people heal their bodies when doctors were saying, oh, you've got cancer, you've only got a couple more months to live. And then they were going out to Don's ranch in the States and doing extensive juice fasts or water fasts using crystal sound bowls, like all these methods that Don really learnt about from the ancient Egyptians and stuff. And the body, when it doesn't have to break down food and use the energy from food to break it down, I think it takes like something like 70% of the energy from the food to actually break it down. So there's really not a lot left to whiz around the body and clean it out and detox it and give it stores of energy. So when we're having, say, juice, the body can just assimilate that energy, those minerals, those vitamins straight away, and then use that energy to go around the body and clean out and repair things that have been there for months and years. And actually sometimes things that we're born with, like our livers are born with metals in them from our parents. So it's not just like if someone's like, oh yeah, I live a clean, healthy lifestyle now, well, for the last couple of years, that's all good. But actually there's like deep stuff in our brains, there's metals, there's like in our liver, like we are actually toxic and we don't even know it. And so I think that it's really important to clean this stuff out so that we have optimum health, and our future selves are going to thank us when they're not going to have to be on meds. And Tyler's really rad. He's tied in a lot of iridology, so looking through the eye to see the health of the body, and you can see your mother's side of the family, what their health was like, and your father's side of the family and see what their health is like. And you actually will have a bit of a blueprint or a roadmap of, okay, so this body that I'm in, if it has a predisposition or it has an opening for this kind of thing happening, just say maybe there's something in the breast region. Okay, so if I'm not doing like lymphatic massage, or I'm not doing things that help support the breast on a physical level and energetic level. But then for me, I always was interested in how emotions, when we hold on to emotions, they create disease or disharmony in the body, and things really do begin at an energetic and an emotional level. So if we're holding on to the emotional traumas that actually get stored in the breasts, and we're not living a lifestyle that's harmonious for health, then we could potentially have that illness or that disease come up in the physical and manifest in the physical. So it's really cool to have an awareness around that and knowledge, because then you can, one, take action and ownership of looking after your body and your health and maintaining it and rebuilding it and building it stronger. But then you also know, okay, when these kind of issues or areas of TLC that need a bit of tender loving care come up in my life, I really get to look at that and meet that challenge head on. That's almost like my doorway through to the next version of me and my greater awakening and empowerment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that the emotional side and the physical side just kind of link up, and quite often we separate the two, but we are a whole being and everything is interconnected. So it's super interesting. Like you look at it from like a scientific point of view, and like if you're holding on to stress, look at how much cortisol is just deteriorating your body and you don't even realize. And feel the need to mention that fasting is quite different to just starving yourself.
Good one to bring in.
There's quite a potent intention of detoxing behind it, not just, I'm just not eating and I'm just trying to get really skinny, and all the body image and mental issues come through with all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Like one is from self-hate and one's for self-love.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think that's really important, because there can be a lot of, what is it? It's almost like eating disorders masters healthy eating. And I remember thinking that before I was tapped in, before I was on the path that I'm on now when I lived in Melbourne, I remember there's two girls that I'm thinking of. One, she was like, I'm a vegan. I was like, oh, what? Like, why? And she was great. Like, she was really, really cool, but I just didn't get it. And then there was this other girl that said she was vegan. Like, I always ate healthy, or what I thought was healthy. Okay, my new healthy back then was a burger with meat and salad, or a pizza with meat and salad, because I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it all. So that was like my version of healthy. So let's just Yeah, scrap that. But I remember thinking about this one vegan chick who's just like, yeah, I'm vegan, da da da. But she would only ever eat like hot chips. Like, you know, like you can kind of almost feel the energetics with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's a very fine line to tread on of like, I love myself enough to detox the stuff out of it so I can be my best self and, you know, vibrate at a higher frequency, or I really don't like myself and I don't like how I look, so I'm just going to starve myself until I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And how did you end up like finding the fasting? Was this just on your journey of like getting through all the modalities?
I would say just magic, to be honest. So my mum is crazy, like paranoid schizophrenic, like actually crazy. But when I was a kid, she took me to a Don Tolman seminar when I was like in year 6. Yeah. And I remember going and like just so funny. I just loved him. I was like, he had his like crystal sound bowl and like he was talking about this really cool stuff, this ancient food of the gods called pulse and just like all this cool shit. And I was like mesmerized by him. Yeah. And that's why I was so into like ancient stuff when I was young, like just so I've always been a crazy researcher. So I knew about him. And then my beautiful ex-partner now, he said out of nowhere one day, I want to do a juice fast. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I was like, oh, I'll just put a thing on Facebook, like, hey, like, we're going to do a juice fast. Any recommendations? And then heaps of people like, oh, check out Tyler Tolman, which is Don's son. And so I had a quick squizzle at his page and I was just like, oh, this guy's rad. And I think he had free juice detoxing 7-day program kind of thing. And so me and Zach did it. And we loved it. Like he just put so much good info in it and we really enjoyed it. And then we saw that he had a 3-day workshop coming up called Heal Thyself. And so we're like, oh, let's go. Like it was a couple of thousand and we're like, no, let's just go, like whatever. And we went and oh my God, like the best investment, like learned so much about health, like so much. And that's when I really like committed and up-leveled my health game. I think we were vegan at the time, or veggie at least. And yeah, we just like went so good with our health stuff and committed to doing colon cleansing and that kind of thing. And then I went on to study iridology and sclerology, the eye stuff, like looking at the eye through Tyler. I went over to Bali and yeah, did a qualification as a practitioner with him and loved it. It was so good.
I suppose it's like, it's really interesting because all this stuff, you know, we don't see in the mainstream. No. No one knows about this stuff. And it's so fascinating how you can just change your whole body. And people heal things that people think are incurable. And so many people are just like, what? They did that? No way. It's just the fluke. It's like, oh my God, you have to see how many people it's happened to though.
It's so amazing. Yeah, just everything. Like, it's just like the body wants to heal. If you create the environment for it to heal, it will. And that's like a mental, emotional, physical level. Like, it's so good. It's so empowering.
Yeah, there was a story I heard Tyler tell because I went to one of his webinars and he was saying about how one of these people that did a clinical fast with him healed from hepatitis C.
Oh, wow.
And that's something that's meant to be incurable. I was like, mind blown. Like, that's, wow, freaking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's just like so good to really shatter the stories that things are incurable or that you can't or it's impossible, because it's just like a story created in the mind. It's just about building belief in things.
And so right now, are you vegan?
No, I'm not at the moment. So,
okay.
No. Yeah, so I reckon I was vegan for 7 years. So I did a big cycle, like a 7-year cycle of it. And that really tied in with me stepping into like my next level of spiritual awakening and that kind of thing. And it was amazing. Absolutely great. Deep detox on all the levels. What made me really be like, okay, I want to do this is I was at an event and the facilitator was like, yeah, what he was talking about cows specifically, but however they die, all that fear and cortisol stored in the meat, And because I knew a little bit about, you know, the body and this kind of stuff, and I was like, well, I come from a pretty fucked up traumatic life. Like I've got enough of my own trauma and cortisol to deal with. Like I'm really just trying to get on with my life. I don't need to be ingesting fear and hormones, you know, like added weight and heaviness, like on an energetic level. I'm like, I don't need that right now. So me being my little, like, looking for the easy way, I was like, I'll just eat happy cows, because I'm also quite rebellious. So if I try to be like, cut myself off from something, I'll rebel against it. So I like have got to really work at that. And I was like, okay, I'm not saying I'm never going to eat meat again. I'm just going to swap the frame. So I was like, I'm going to eat way more fruit and veg and just fill up my space with that. And if I do feel like meat, I'll eat happy local cows that have been running around, don't have all the hormones. But because I was too lazy to go and get it, I never went to the butcher's, never. And so I became an accidental vegan. Oh no, I was accidental veggie for ages. And then I was like looking at why I didn't commit to being vegan, because I know dairy creates the inflammation, and inflammation's the seed of all disease. Why am I still, like, I never had milk or dairy in my own home, but if I went out, I would never ask the waiter or like, you know, kick up a fuss about, does this have milk or eggs or da-da-da, because so Aussie here. I didn't want to be that girl that's too much. Like, oh, she's so annoying. Like, where are we all going to go for dinner? Oh, I'm a vegan. And I was like, oh, it's just so annoying. Like, I had that element of being a people pleaser still and wanting to be chill and to like, you know, everyone like me and not kick up a stink. And I had a real look at myself there, and I was like, hang on. So I'm deciding to eat something that I know fucks my body up because I don't want to make someone else feel uncomfortable for asking for what I want. Ooh. And I was like, oh, and just because of seeing that energy, that way of being playing out, I was like, fuck it, Teddi, that means you've got to exactly be open about, no, I don't want to eat this, I want to eat this. I am that person that's too much. And it actually helped me to break through to a new level. And I honestly didn't notice any negative changes at all. The reason that I tried meat again was because I like to break down my identity and ego. And I was like, oh, I think a part of me might have gotten attached to this, like, oh, I'm a vegan, da-da-da. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see, does my body need any meat? Like, let's just see if it needs it. And like I had it, and honestly, I couldn't really feel the difference. And I recognize that everybody's different. Like everyone's body is created differently and like responds differently to things. So it's not a like, go vegan. Like it's not that kind of like talk at all. It's just like recognizing that, and also appreciating that sometimes this kind of cycle of detoxing is really important for lightening our frequency and getting fear out of us and chemicals. And, you know, it might be a vegan stint or it might be a vegan way for a while, and that's all good. And I think people that have done that will understand kind of like what I'm saying with that. Because I actually, I started like dreaming of meat, and I was like, oh, probably should give it a little go. And then, but I'm really, really chill with it. Like I'd say I am plant-based and vegan now. Oh, except for ghee. I've been doing the Bulletproof coffees, Dave Asprey.
Oh, what's that?
Oh my God, he's so good. He's so interesting. So he's someone that was vegan for ages as well. And he's like done a lot of research. He's more sciencey. So like looks at like how things are doing us scientifically. And yeah, he's got a whole diet called the Bulletproof Diet, and shows that fats and oils are really good for our brains and this kind of thing. So if we have coffee with like oils in it, whether it's coconut oil or a bit of ghee or something, it keeps the coffee going all through the day and not that like extreme caffeine high and caffeine low. Yeah, it's really cool. Wow, yeah, I love it. He's like so biohacking king. He's great.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. Oh, I love that. Now I don't even drink coffee, but now I'm like, I want to try it.
Oh no. It's like I'm so addicted to it. I'm like, this is my one thing that I'm like, yeah, you can stay.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like coffee can't be that bad. Like, you know, it's meant to supply us a bit of energy, like antioxidants or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just like going back to the whole vegan thing, you kind of like look at how we're biologically made and what we digest and what comes out of us. And like, all the fruits and veg are the ones that actually get properly broken down in our bodies. And then, I mean, besides like, you know, corn.
Oh my God, corn. Yeah. Yeah. Stay away from the GMO corn. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's just fascinating to like look into that, you know, our bodies are made to break down these sort of things and, you know, not really meant to break down all the chips and things like that we now ingest. Oh, the chips. Those damn chips.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
What's actually new and potentially on the cards for you next?
Oh my God. Love this. Okay. So Confidence of a Queen is coming out December, which is like a women's empowerment program, which is just going to be next level. Like I'm really excited for what's coming through there. So that's going to be self-worth, sexuality, boundaries. Oh my God, I fucking love boundaries. Like so good. And then expression. So that's next level. And then next year, what I'm really excited for as well is I'm going to do a course for women all around wealth. And it's going to be called Warrior Wealth. Yeah. So money stuff. So money and bringing in crypto. Yeah. Because, I did it a couple of years ago and it was really fun and I'm just feeling the call for it again. So yeah, like just basic stuff on like setup, how to maintain wealth, how to grow it, and then bringing that into the crypto space, but then doing all the magic as well, like around the unconscious programming, the baggage, the things that actually stop women from building their wealth and or if they do have it, holding it. So yeah, it's going to be potent. But that'll be next year.
Yeah. Are you still doing the
Moonlight Magic? Yeah. So Moonlight Magic is every new moon. So it's kind of around the start of the month and it's an online women's healing circle. So we get in tune with whatever the new moon's in, like whatever astrology sign it's in, bring in that magic, set some intentions, and then do some like powerful healing stuff around it, which is really fun. It's been really lovely. And it's like creating like a really nice container of women like in community, which is really important right now. And yeah, super accessible for many people. So if you, the dear wonderful listener is like, oh, I want to try this cool shit that Teddi's doing, Moonlight Magic would be the one. Like jump in and you can meet me and meet all the other ladies. And
it's a good starting point to get them tasting like what you're about, what you do.
Yeah, how weird I am pretty much. Like
I rate it though, the best kind of weird.
Yeah.
So that's just every new moon?
Yeah, every new moon.
How come you chose not to do full moon?
Because I'm all about what we're calling in. I just wanted to do, so it's like the same as like a vision board, right? Like we need to get clear on where we're going so we can steer our focus and steer our ship so we can get there. Because it's like, if I'd started off on what we're always letting go of, that's really potent and really good. But I was like, how about we focus on where we want to go and like move forward? And in the process of moving forward, we are going to need to release whatever is out of alignment with that anyway. Like it's going to happen naturally. Yeah, I'm just focused on what we want.
I rate that. Yeah, just move forward. Like let's forget about the stuff that's going to fall away anyway naturally.
Exactly.
What's come up in the new Moonlight Magic?
Ooh. This one's a good one. Well, this one's really potent because it's Scorpio, so we're going really deep. A lot of transformation, a lot of shedding. But what I really love, it's the activation of our power, our sexuality, and our wealth, which is all stuff that I really love. And yeah, so this one's going to be a really potent one. Yeah, and what I've been really loving actually with it is seeing women that have jumped on the calls and have done them and have never done tapping or never worked with me before. So this is only a monthly call, like once a month. And when they first jumped on, they did the thing. And then the next month later, I'm like, oh, how are you feeling? And they're like, oh my God, I feel so different. Like that one session helped me so much. Like I feel so good. And I was like, oh, wow, like that's amazing. So even just from one session, like women are seeing like a lot of shifts and changes and upgrades, which is really cool.
That's exactly what you want. You want to be able to like see the difference straight away. And especially just from one session. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I think it's because well, when we do stuff in group where we create that collective consciousness and we actually end up doing more work, like we go deeper and we go wider in a sense, like we clear more stuff and there's a really potent field that gets created together. But then also being in alignment with the new moon's energies, which are enhancing all of that stuff. So it's like everything's kind of getting like doubled or quadrupleized. So that's why I think it's so potent.
Absolutely. I love like a good women's circle, just like making some serious magic and cleaning some stuff up, because that's what this world needs right now.
Yes.
It needs a lot more feminine energy, like doing the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so if anyone wants to find you, where will they find you?
They can find me on the gram. That's where I'm most active. So Teddi, Emerald, EMERALD, like the little green gemstone. And yeah, that's where I'm showing up. My stories are probably the most interesting thing. And I've got a podcast as well, which I will be resurrecting soon. Feeling inspired from you, Franeiss. So thank you. And yeah, I'd say that's the places.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited. And what's your podcast called?
The Teapot.
Yeah, the Teapot. I love that name so much.
Oh my God.
It's just like sums you up in a nutshell. The Teapot.
So fun.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on with me today, Teddi, and having this chat. It has been so awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.